The Leafs split the weekend back-to-back, but get a stellar performance out of Ilya Samsonov. Is he back, Dave? We'll discuss that on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make a $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. The Maple Leafs finish up the Western road trip 2-2 after defeating the Seattle Kraken 3-1 on Sunday evening. But to me, the biggest story from that game is not that they won, not that they held the lead and actually got an insurance marker. Dave, we just saw Ilya Samsonov have the best game of his season, didn't we?
Absolutely, 100%. And the reason why, obviously, not just because of the amount of goals he allowed, which was just one, it was the Leafs getting the saves at crucial times that they have struggled to get pretty much all season out of Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah, like literally this guy was unplayable for a little bit, where the team sent him to the minors and said, we don't even want you playing games down there because if you get lit up like a Christmas tree down there, you'll lose all your confidence. So they pretty much just sent him away for 8 days and said, go away. We'll bring you back when we think it's time. And he came back. He played last weekend against Detroit, played well, played decent. But this was the Ilya Samsonov of last year. Like, this was the guy who, was a top 10 goaltender. And, he didn't face a lot of pressure tonight. 17 shots is all the Leafs gave up, and they played well in front of him defensively. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he was under siege and had to steal the game. The team played well in front of him and didn't, give up a whole lot, but they did give up at least 4 or 5 grade A chances, and Ilya Samsonov made every single one of those saves. What he was doing with those pillows tonight was unbelievable. And it wasn't just, in a little flurry here and there. It was throughout the entire game. He had at least, 5 or 6 great stops with the pad tonight that really helped keep this team, in this game. It was a low scoring game. So if those end up going in the back of the net, which a month ago those were definitely finding a crease and going into the net. Pretty encouraging if you're a Maple Leafs fan to see Ilya Samsonov making those big stops again.
Absolutely. That save he made late in the third, let's be honest, up 2-1, you don't feel good about the Leafs' ability to keep this lead, because that's the lead the Leafs have blown, and not just blow the lead, but most likely allowing the back-breaking goal not long after that. But, that save that Samsonov made, I can't remember who shot the puck, but to come across and deny it, and give the Leafs credit that the Kraken weren't able to get any second or third opportunities on that play. Yeah. But that's the save that they haven't been able to get. Yeah. Right? They weren't able to get it really almost Martin Jones provided some of that. But lately, it hasn't been there. And especially with Samsonov.
It's almost as if Samsonov, prior to yesterday's game again, and you can even look at a couple of games here. It seems like Samsonov maybe did the old Looney Tunes Michael Jordan thing, where they or Toon Squad, where they kind of maybe Ilya Samsonov has taken Martin Jones's hockey ability out of him, because these two are going in opposite directions right now. And I butchered that reference, by the way. I don't even know how I butchered that so poorly, but I think you understand what I was trying to say there. It's like he's stealing his talent, right? He stole his talent. because he had a terrific night tonight, and it's coming off of a night where Martin Jones Saturday didn't look good, did not look good, and it was one of those. Okay, is the bubble bursting here? Is he turning back into a pumpkin? Is the Martin Jones story kind of coming to an end? And I think it certainly quiets things. Like it makes it a lot more quiet, that story, when Ilya Samsonov the very next night goes out and puts up a performance like this. And now instead of saying, oh boy, now they got to go, they come back home, they got to play the Winnipeg Jets, the top team in the league, and neither goalie's making saves. How could they possibly stand a chance against this team? Now it's, hey, you might be able to roll with a confident Ilya Samsonov into this next matchup.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing with Martin Jones, and I know a lot of people are gonna put him in a microscope here too. Guys started 10 of the last 11 games.
Yeah, yeah. And look, that's something that like we've discussed a lot was like
Yeah.
you can't ride this guy into the ground. And it kind of
No.
seems like they did in a way.
They did because Sheldon Keefe had no trust in putting Samsonov in the net. And I'm sorry, there aren't many goaltenders that can handle a workload. Yeah, there's been off days here or there, but that's a lot of games for a guy who hasn't played. Like Martin Jones has started
Well,
games. He hasn't done this type of workload in a really long time.
well, and you look at their schedule over the course of the last few weeks, it's been
Yeah.
like every other day with back-to-backs. Like it's been insane. I
The
think that
guy
he's
even
playing.
started a back to back. Like that's like
Yeah, also did start a back-to-back when they were out west, you're right, in, well, Southwest when they were in California.
yeah.
That's right, he did do that. That was another thing too, where they just weren't playing Hildeby. They took him on the road trip and then didn't let him sniff the net, and it's like, what's going on here? And, yeah, maybe that workload's just finally catching up to him, so getting the rest tonight, perhaps you give him another rest night Tuesday against Winnipeg, and you roll up the hot hand with Ilya Samsonov, which sounds like an oxymoron at this point, after the season that he's had to say that. But look, he was good tonight. And it's not just that he made the saves and that he looked good. He looked calm in the net. He looked comfortable. He looked confident. It looked like he actually knew where he was in the net. Like early in the year, you would look at some of these goals and be like, this dude's angles are so off. He doesn't know where the net is behind him. Like he just completely was so lost in there and he was swimming all over the place. And that's why a lot of goals ended up finding their way into the back of the net. He looked good. He looked calm. He looked like a confident number one goaltender tonight. Again, it's one game. We're not going to overreact. To say he's back as being, a little tongue in cheek. We need to see this over the course of, a couple of weeks to say that. But it definitely was a giant step in the right direction.
Exactly. Like again, it's easy to overreact to one game. It's a good game, not taking that away from him. But even Samsonov himself after the game says, look, it was a good start, but I'm moving past and I'm looking forward. And that's the thing, right? Like when you've had such a tough stretch, this is first win since December 9th. It's a long time between wins as a goaltender in the National Hockey League. This is why you can say you can question whether Samsonov is back, but you have to really test that now. And
Yeah.
this is why now there will be that question mark going forward, but a good chance to really see and really gauge where he's at.
And with the great performance that he had tonight, he was given the game belt by Auston Matthews. So which I think was very deserving, deserving for him to get the belt tonight. He was fantastic, and for a team that did struggle to score, like they only scored 2 goals at 5-on-5. I mean, the other goal that they scored was an empty netter. So for them to win the game, he had to be stellar, right? Like he had to make those grade A 10 bell saves, or else this one would have been tied up and they probably also would have lost the game if that were the case, because the Leafs just weren't able to get it going. It's not for lack of trying. Like the Leafs put some pressure. It just, man, when it comes to third period goals of late, they've been super, super unlucky. Why don't we take a break, come back? We could break down the rest of the game, give our 3 stars, and we had a coaching firing over the weekend. We'll talk about the big name that's back behind the bench in a little bit. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the price you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's Mike DiStefano with my co-host Dave Morassutti. We're a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast. If you're new to the show and you are just kind of stumbling upon us, appreciate you giving us a chance. We do have new podcasts coming out each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. You can find our pods wherever you get your podcast from, also up on YouTube. Leafs with a 3-1 win tonight, last night, I guess, as of the, you guys listening to this, over the Seattle Kraken. And as we do after each and every victory, we go through our 3 stars of the game. Dave, why don't we start with your 3rd star of the game?
I'm going to give it to Jake McCabe.
Mm.
Obviously he gets the insurance marker that wish had come a little sooner in that period, but an important one there to take the pressure off in the last minute there, and got to give it to him for standing up for his line mate Timothy Liljegren.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dirty hit, but it's a hit where it's like, nah, that's not happening. You're going to answer for it, and that's something that the Leafs again have been criticized for not standing up for their players, for being deemed soft, and rightfully so in some cases. So it was nice to see McCabe doing that, and how important he's become. Sheldon Keefe made that comment saying he doesn't know who he can trust, right? I think you can trust Jake McCabe a little more in these sort of situations.
Oh, for sure. And I think you can just look at the fact that he was out there with the net empty, killing off the final 30 seconds of a hockey game, right? Like, he trusted him to be in that position at that moment of the game. And, he was rewarded for it too, with a nice 200-foot snipe right down the middle of the net there. Just, not a goal that I expected to see tonight, but a nice one nonetheless. I also had Jake McCabe with my 3rd star. I like the physicality that he's bringing on a nightly basis, and he brought it again tonight and had another big hit. Had got into a fight with Tanev, who's a strong guy. Sticking up for his teammate, like you said. You absolutely love to see it. Had 3 block shots tonight, so this is the type of stuff that you need out of Jake McCabe when this team is looking to win some games. When you've got a guy like TJ Brody in a bit of a funk, you need a nice, stable defensive presence on the back end, and he's been able to be that a lot of nights here for the Maple Leafs. So Jake McCabe gets the 3rd star from both of us. 2nd star from the Leafs 3-1 win tonight over the Kraken.
Gotta go with Auston Matthews.
Yeah.
That goal he scored, world class.
Woo.
But let's also remember that Auston Matthews has been playing really dominant hockey over this stretch. Even though the Leafs, again, haven't won as many games as they would have liked, he has been solid. Like, the only game you can criticize him, honestly, over this stretch is the Edmonton one.
But even the Edmonton one, though, like, you look at the first period,
yeah,
he was dominant in the first period, and then it kind of fizzled away.
Yeah.
Remember, he scored 27 seconds into the game.
Exactly. But at 5-on-5, he has been like dominant.
A beast.
He's been a beast. Him and Marner have been doing some really good things at 5-on-5. And I think they've actually been snake bitten a little bit at times because they are just dominating play. You are not spending they're not spending as much time in their own end. And they're being trusted a lot more in their own end as well.
Well, you know what it is, Dave, and I remember Auston Matthews said this. Maybe it might have been Marner, one of the two. When they were in a bit of a funk prior to getting split earlier in the year, they said, yeah, it's a lot of one and done for us. Like we're getting into the offensive end, we're getting a shot off, and then that's it. There's no extended pressure. There's no multiple shots, multiple opportunities. That has not been the case recently. He's been outstanding. Him and Marner, they're getting multiple opportunities on net on any given shift. And Nyes tonight did a really good job of being a puck retriever for those guys as well, battling along the boards, trying to keep some possessions alive. And we saw a few instances where, they didn't result into goals, but we saw a few instances where, the Kraken had like their blue liners out for more than 2 minutes. Like they had these guys worn down in their end and they're making shift changes right in the middle of pressure. And then that's 2 straight waves of pressure. And like I said, it didn't result in goals, but there's 2 things. One, it's great to see your team dominating like that, but also it's a heck of a lot easier to defend and make sure that goals don't go into your net when you spend the entire time in the offensive end, which is really what happened for most of tonight's game. The Maple Leafs just spent a lot of time in the ozone, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Auston Matthews, I would say, is one of the biggest reasons for it. Just because he was just so great. That line as a whole was 82% expected goals tonight with him, Marner, and Nyes at 5-on-5. But here's another thing tonight. You go and you look at the faceoff percentage. Leafs won 72% of the faceoffs tonight. 72%. When you win 72% of the draws, you're getting in possession, and that's a big reason for that happening, whether it's in the offensive end or the defensive end. If you get in the offensive end, boom, you've got possession in the ozone and you've established it, and now you just try and work the puck in and get yourself and attack the goal. And then on defensively, tonight was an example where they won 82% of their D zone faceoffs. And that's why I think the Leafs did a really good job tonight. And Auston Matthews did a great job himself as well, being one of the guys who won a lot. 9 draws tonight. I think he was up in the 60 percentile, 60 or 70% for Matthews. So a big night for him, and a big night for, I guess, as an honorable mention, everyone in the faceoff draws tonight.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's how the Leafs have to approach. I think tonight's a good example for this team to understand that in order to be a successful team, you need to spend more time with the puck in the offensive zone, because if the game against Vancouver taught us anything, the Leafs can't be trusted to defend in their own zone for a lengthy period of time, because the opposition is going to find ways to get to the net and get pucks on net and score.
Yeah, exactly. And so more often, I would suggest the Maple Leafs, do themselves a favor and just play as much as possible on the opposite end of the ice here. Yeah. And that helps a guy like Ilya Samsonov not have to face waves and waves and waves of pressure, who is my first star, I assume, also your first star tonight.
It's got to be one Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah, exactly. He was good, man. He was real solid. Made some really big saves and some stops at key moments in the game. Kept that thing. Obviously, it got tight. It was a bit of a sweat again. And even like being able to like that save in the third period. That was the first shot that he had faced in that period. That was 13 minutes into the period where he had done nothing. He could have had a nap. And all of a sudden, he has to make a grade A diving pad save and then corral the rebound and, hang on and get the whistle and negate any other second opportunity by the Kraken. Just like a real solid play by Ilya Samsonov tonight all around.
Yeah, the thing about Samsonov's game and what makes him successful is when he's calm and not erratic in his own net.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was the issue. It's always been his issue, is that when things aren't going well, he panics and he thinks he has to do more than he really needs to. For him, the important thing is to be in good position. And, yeah, you have to trust the guys in front of you, but don't go out of your way to feel like you need to do the hero stuff, right? Stay within your area, stop what you can see, and should work out. Like that save, you mentioned it, like he hadn't seen a shot in such a long time, and that's where goalies can easily lose focus.
Mhm.
And he didn't, and it was the hardest shot he faced all game.
Yeah.
And he was ready for it. And I think I think it should give him credit for that renewed mental approach that he has to really be in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, he spoke about that post game in his little post game interview that he did with who did he do that with?
Sean McKenzie.
Sean McKenzie, yeah. Yeah. Just again, hopefully this is the new Samsonov, a born again Samsonov, if you will, and we can see him play this way moving forward. It would be very disheartening if it was just a kind of one game
Yeah.
and then he goes back to being a pumpkin. Let's see if Sammy can get going and get on a run here, because that would be a great scenario for the Maple Leafs if they can get this guy on track by All-Star break, and they come out of the break. Maybe Joseph Wall's close to returning, and then you've got a confident Samsonov, and you've got that tandem that you expected to have earlier in the year, firing on all cylinders. Hopefully, we're gonna cross fingers that happens moving forward. Before we put final bow on this game, is there anything else that stuck out to you that you wanted to discuss quickly?
I thought Timothy Logan was better tonight. He got called out a little bit by
He
Sheldon
did.
Keefe.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what? Keefe has done this in the past. I think it's now, yeah, a lot of people might say it's unfair. This is Timothy Liljegren's time to show his coach why he's wrong, right? So I think that's important. And I'm still very eerie about TJ Brody. Still, like that goal that was scored. I don't know what these guys are doing in front of their net, man.
It's a lot of standing around, isn't it? A lot of standing around and just kind of, what's going on? Where's the puck? What's happening here?
Oh, it's in my net. Oh, sorry.
Maybe push someone out of the way. Like if you can't find the puck, locate the puck, take a man. All right, take a man and let your partner find the puck. Right? Like it is becoming.
It's frustrating because it's, against the Kraken, you can maybe get away with playing like that a little bit, but as you saw against the Canucks, how many times would that team get beat in front of the net? And that's what annoyed me about that game, and what continues to annoy me is that's something. If I'm Sheldon Keefe, video sessions, why are you getting beat so badly in front of our net? That needs to change.
Nothing is still better than, was it the Edmonton game on the game winner when both Benoit and Riley were defending the ghost by the post? Yeah. That was great. That was a lot of fun. Anyways, we'll keep it positive because the Leafs got the win tonight and they played better. They were good defensively tonight. I mean, like, that goal aside, that's probably one of the very few blunders that there were. Overall, the Leafs were very good tonight defensively. They're pretty tight. They didn't give up a whole lot. They defended well. There was that one. Was it maybe towards the midway point of the second period? It was like kind of right after Nick Robertson scored, where there started to be some chances going back and forth, where the game opened up and had some pace. But outside of that, it was a pretty low event game where they kept things pretty tidy, and only 17 shots allowed. Should do that more going forward. All right. Let's take a break. Let's come back. Patrick Waugh is back in the NHL, baby. We'll tell you where on the other side. I'm Mike DiStefano with Dave Morassutti. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there's so many different ways to bet. You can do live same-game parlays. You can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub. It's the best way to find the popular parlays of the day. You can find bets in the new Explore tab and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, the official partner of the Locked On Network. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti. Elsewhere around the league, big shockwaves kind of went through the NHL on Saturday. Saw a notification come to my phone that says Lane Lambert has been fired by the New York Islanders. Patrick Waugh will be the new head coach. Did this catch you as off guard as it did me, Dave?
Well, considering I was working Saturday and this came near the end of my shift, I see Lane Lambert's fired. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get the story ready. I didn't even read. I saw the Lane Lambert part and totally glossed over Patrick Waugh come back, and somebody was like, Patrick Waugh's back. I'm like, what? I'm like, God damn! Like, it caught me off guard because like I was just so focused on them getting rid of Lane Lambert, and I'm just like, Patrick Waugh, just out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, he'd had a lot of interest apparently. Like, there's been teams who've been looking to bring him in, but he wanted to go to a specific team, and I guess Lou Lamoriello's Islanders are that team that he was willing to coach. Like, he's a good coach. Like, he won the Memorial Cup last year with the Quebec Ramparts. Like, he's a real good coach, and like a lot of people kind of expected him to find work sooner. Like, there was teams that may have been interested in him over the offseason or was believed to have interest. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. And he ended up, just still waiting around at home, doing whatever. And then, got the phone call, and now he's the head coach of the New York Islanders, and they were victorious. They got the new coach bump. They beat the Dallas Stars 3-2 in overtime. Bo Horvat with a breakaway goal as the game winner. But I just, like, when I look at this firing, like Lane Lambert, am I wrong? Were they not really high on this guy last year? Like, they legitimately let Barry Trotz go, and they were like, no, because we don't want to lose Lane Lambert, who was like getting interest from other teams. So they decided, okay, we're going to keep this younger coach as opposed to Barry Trotz and move forward with this team. A year and a half later, they say, actually, no, we're going to fire this guy and go get Patrick Waugh.
Lane Lambert's a guy that's been with that organization for a while.
And they're in contention. Like, they're a contending team. They were 19, 15, and 11 prior to the firing, just like a couple of points out of a playoff spot. It's not like they were the Senators who were, last place in the conference here. They were still a contending team with a chance to still do some damage and make a run to the playoffs. Clearly, they feel like Patrick Waugh could get this team more prepared than Lane Lambert, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, like, the Islanders had been trending. Like, they've got off to a pretty good start, and they've been trending the wrong way, for a bit. But this is Lou Lamoriello. This is now Lou Lamoriello's third coaching hire since joining the Islanders. Right? Like, usually GMs don't get the opportunity to hire that many coaches. Although if you're Lou, you kind of tell the owner, I'm doing what I want and kind of have to deal with it. But like this Islanders team, I didn't expect them to be among like the top 3 in the Metro. When they were top 3 in the Metro, they have since gone down a bit. But like, this was an opportunity for this Islanders team. I think that's maybe why there was a bit more urgency for Lamoriello to do this move, because you have the Devils, who are playing so poorly this year. I mean, not getting the goaltending. You have the Penguins, who have been, hot and cold and hot, then kind of back to being like half and half. And then the Hurricanes, who couldn't get a save either. So like this is an opportunity for the Islanders to really cement themselves in that Metropolitan Division, and they've kind of blown that opportunity. I think probably that's what led Lamoriello to say this isn't good enough. I need to go with the more, out of, because no one expected this, but out of nowhere coaching hire. And first practice, I don't know if you saw any of the videos from practice. Patrick Waugh, right then and there, was putting his stamp. As soon as that first practice, telling them pretty much it wasn't good enough, and
No
like
whistle.
yelling
No
at
whistle.
these guys.
No whistle.
No whistle. He was whistling himself. He didn't need a whistle.
No. He can yell. He's got his own lungs. He doesn't need a whistle for it. Look, like I think Patrick Waugh is a good coach. Like I thought that he was actually a perfect candidate when Ottawa let go of DJ Smith. I thought Patrick Waugh might be like he's close by, a Quebec guy, hates Montreal.
English and French.
Right? So I thought it made sense for them to go into that direction, but maybe Patrick Waugh didn't want to go there. Although I did hear that he did take some lunches and some meetings apparently, but perhaps that was just the streets talking as opposed to there being much validity to it. But anyways, he lands in New York, and he's going to try and turn this Islanders team around. I will say this though, like a big issue that they've had this year is Ilya Sorokin's been pedestrian this season, which like this is a guy who's been a Vezina candidate for the last few years. Just a 321 goals against and a 908 save percentage. That's not anywhere near where his career averages are. So I don't know, perhaps going and getting one of the best goalies to ever play in Patrick Waugh puts a little pep in the step of Ilya Sorokin, perhaps, and a good guy to talk to when you're going through ups and downs in a career would be Patrick Waugh, your head coach. So if they can get him back in order, I think this team, does have an opportunity to still compete for a playoff spot. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But that's the kind of big news out of the weekend.
First off, also weird to see Patrick Waugh and Lou Lamoriello team together, considering
Devils
the past
and
Devils and the Avalanche. But I forgot to mention Corey Perry looks like he's heading to Edmonton.
Yeah, so not signing in Toronto.
It's
not official. It's not official, but it seems very likely that he will be inking a contract with the Edmonton Oilers at some point here in the very near future. What were you going to say about it, though?
Just hitching his wagon to the team that's the hottest in the NHL right now. It's kind of smart on his part.
Yeah, it's not a bad move to go from the Blackhawks to the Oilers. Yeah, it's probably not terrible.
Oilers also play the Blackhawks this week.
I don't think.
I don't even like the Oilers have to get cap compliant to even make this move. That's why it hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah, but I'm sure he probably is looking to take league minimum, in which case they're just send someone down. Like I don't think that'll be much of an issue for them, to be honest with you. Anything else happened over the weekend?
I think those were really the only two big things.
I think those are the two bugaboos, two things that kind of went down over the weekend. Justin Bieber obviously was named among the All-Star celebrity captains. Will Arnett also will be an All-Star celebrity captain.
Noted Leafs fan Will Arnett teaming up with Connor McDavid.
Yeah, it's interesting, eh? Well, Will Arnett. So actually, I guess we could talk about this quickly. Or we could save it for tomorrow. You want to save it for tomorrow, the All-Star talk?
Yeah, we can save it for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll save it for tomorrow. Just they've officially announced all four captains and the assistant captains and their All-Star or celebrity captains. So we'll tell you about that on tomorrow's show. So make sure that you follow us subscribe to the show so that you can get that content directly delivered to you as soon as we upload it. But that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcast platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on X at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. And follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. Go ahead and leave a like on this video, a comment down below. Is Sammy back? Let me know down below. We'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.